Welcome to a solo episode of the Rashawn Franklin Show. I'm your host, Rashawn Franklin. I'm doing a quick episode to kind of get my thoughts together, get my thoughts out over the weekend, tomorrow I'll have my friends on, Keith, Emmett, and Bray, to talk about the playoffs, kind of preview all the matchups that we know are going to happen, talk about coaching searches, talk about possible Ja Morant trades if it doesn't happen by then, and a host of other things. But I wanted to get on here to talk solo about my Chicago Bears. Man, what a win. I was born in 1989, which means I'm turning 37 in May. And for most of my lifetime, I've heard about the 85 Bears. I've never seen the Bears win a title. In 06, 07, they went to the Super Bowl, but I've never seen it with my own eyes. And during that time, the Green Bay Packers have dominated us. From my earliest memories, I remember Brett Favre in the 90s destroying us. There was no recollection I have of us having a good record, winning games during those matchups. They had Brett Favre, who was, probably the most popular player in the NFL in the 90s. Then once he was done, they followed it up with Aaron Rodgers, who tormented us my entire 20s into my 30s. This is long past due for us to get our get back. Throughout my entire life, the Bears could never get the offense right. We had Jay Cutler, who up until Caleb was, probably our best quarterback ever. And Jay's good. He's not an elite guy. He's got an elite arm strength, but he's not an elite quarterback, and that's for a myriad of reasons. But he was the best quarterback we'd ever have, and so we'd ever had. And so we love the guy because he was all we had. But once the football gods smiled up on us, we got that first pick. We ended up with this kid Caleb Williams, who is uber talented. He's extraordinary. And, as a former PFF analyst and just a lover of football, I feel like I have kind of, just from working for them, gave me like a PhD in the game. So I understand, this game at a pretty high level. And, the talent level that this guy has that is wearing the jersey of the team I love is like something I've never experienced. He is uber talented, from the arm strength, the decision making, to the pocket presence, to the moxie. He's a magician. He has everything. And he's not scared of any moment. And that puts us in a position to win pretty much every game. We haven't really been out of any game over the last 10 weeks, something like that. I don't know the actual stats, but he puts us in a position to win every single time. And that is the mark of a special quarterback. Number 1 overall pick. And by right, he was just the most talented player in that draft at the most important position. And we have him. And we needed to marry him with somebody who was a football junkie that can put Caleb in positions to succeed, that would hold Caleb's feet to the fire, and that would change the trajectory, how we as a Chicago Bears franchise look at ourselves. He's changed the locker room. He's changed the culture. And so that's Ben Johnson. What a steal that was, to take him from a division rival, as their OC. And they'll probably never be the same without him. And we'll probably continue our incline as a franchise. And so that is, very exciting, very exciting. The game was frustrating, as all of the games have been this season, even the one that we lost or almost lost. We played the Packers 3 times this season. The first one I had a chance to win. Caleb threw that pick at the end. Then the second one, the miraculous comeback. And then the third one, another miraculous comeback. I personally, those last two, because I hate the Packers so much, as a UK fan, you hate Louisville, you hate Duke. As a Bears fan, you hate the Packers. And those are the upper echelon hate franchise and rivalries you have. And so these 2 games where we've been down at home, looks like we're going to lose going away. And we have in the past. I've had to turn them off. Can't lie. I can't watch them. I'll follow them on an app, but if we're losing to the Packers, I can't stomach watching it anymore. It's just been so disruptive to my emotional well-being in the past. And so I can't do it. And so, I'll keep an eye on the game. I'll, have my fiance and we just basically turn on other stuff and I'll just check in on the game. And if I see, something happening that we could come back, I'll say like, let's turn it on. So I'm, watching yesterday and kind of watching like, hey, we're down, but it's 20, I think it was 27-16, and then we scored, and then they missed a field goal, and I'm like, okay, we gotta we gotta turn this shit back on. And so once we did, we came down, scored the touchdown. It was remarkable, and yeah, I let out a yell like, holy shit, we did this, and it's just a great feeling because before it was we're gonna lose this for sure, and this time it was we have 18, so we have a chance. And so that's why you just turn it back on, and now kind of get some payback over the Green Bay Packers who have been handling us for the last two 2 decades, 25 years. When I see those videos of Green Bay Packer fans crying and shit, distraught, y'all have been whooping our ass for a long ass time, and so it has to flip. At some point, it has to flip. And I'm hoping that this loss sends them into an absolute spiral. They're considering letting go Matt LaFleur and all of the talks of the reporters talking about this is his last season or is his lame duck season, and ownership doesn't want him to go in with just 1 year into this to the season. And so that will lend itself to say, hey, they might let him go and go after someone else. That would be amazing. I think Matt LaFleur is a hell of a coach. If they lose him, it would take them, I believe, 2 to 3 years to get back to where they are now, which is great because we would probably, if we continue this relationship with Caleb and Ben Johnson, everybody stays healthy, we would be at a higher level defensively. Caleb and the offensive weapons with Rome and Colston, they would have a better sense of each other. We would, draft more guys. Luther, he's probably going to start to come on because he's uber talented. And shout out to Ryan Poles. This draft class, more so, I mean, the fleecing, not even the fleecing because Bryce Young is very good, but that trade with Carolina was a hallmark move by him. But this 2025 NFL draft, round 1 through 7, all of those guys have contributed this year. That is rare. That is more impressive to me than the trade. It's just more impressive because it's very hard to scout these guys and get it right. And it usually takes 2 to 3 years for, to see a draft class kind of materialize. These guys had the opportunity to come in and contribute immediately, and they all did. And they're all really good. I think this particular, more so than the trade, is going to set us up for success going forward because now these guys have had time to play in real football games, meaningful football games, and that's only going to make them better. And they're all uber talented. So shout out to Ryan Poles. He's got to do something about this defense, though, because we have to get better in order to really reach our goals. And I'm not saying that it's over and this was our Super Bowl. I think we can beat the Rams at home. It's just a tough matchup because they have another number 1 overall pick who might be his last year. Outstanding head coach. And Sean McVay, a pretty good defense, and that connection with Puka and Matthew Stafford is the best in the league. So it's a tough one, and we've been giving up a lot of points. So we'll see how that one goes. I'm interested to see what the spread is. I think that they'll be favored by 5 or 6, if I had to guess. Maybe 7. I think that we should be the underdogs going in here. And, can we come out with a victory? I think so. It's just going to be tough. And it only gets tougher as the playoffs go forward. But, they're really good. What gives me hope is they've been shaky these last couple weeks. Like they almost got bounced by the Panthers, which would have been like one of those monumental disasters, as a franchise, because like I said, I think Matthew Stafford, I think this is his last year or next to last year. He was thinking about retiring, and so this could be it. So there is some pressure there to really win it all. I mean, they feel like they have enough, and they probably do, to win it all. So they're gonna come in and try to put us away pretty early, and we've got to know that as a team and not fall behind because this team is difficult. It's going to be more difficult to come back on them because they have such great coaching, but because they have this guy at a quarterback who's just uber talented and Hall of Famer, and a crazy defensive line. Their back end can be touched a little bit, but that defensive line, like I said, with Kobe Taylor and Jared Verse is different. They're both different, and so it's going to be a tough one. I feel good about it though, but it's not going to be easy. The Niners Philly game, I knew it wasn't going to be a lot of points scored. One, because the Eagles' offense had been stagnant for the entire season. Two, because their defense was kind of getting better. They lost Jordan Davis through the game, in the game, but they had Jalen Carter back, and so that helped them as a defensive line kind of dictate the game. And so it was a lower scoring game, but the Niners were able to pull it out. Shout out to Brock Purdy. He's one of those guys that his stature, and he just doesn't look the part in terms of being an elite guy that can take you to a Super Bowl win. But he has been playing well. He's playing within himself in that Kyle Shanahan offense, and he makes timely throws. You know, let's give him some credit. They gave him that money, and he's been worth it. Now, can they go into Seattle and beat them, a team that they just lost to last week? I don't know. I would lean towards Seattle, but it would be, Kyle Shanahan has not been able to do this with a fully stacked deck. And it could be fitting that, he doesn't have a stacked deck, but he's figuring out ways. He's relying on his coaching for his teams to kind of take that next step. He's a hell of a coach, man. I mean, when you look at it, the guys left in the NFC, these guys, the head coaches, Ben Johnson, Sean McVay, Mike McDonald, Kyle Shanahan, they're probably the best four coaches in the NFC, and they're still standing. And so you have to go in this prepared if you're either side, because on all four teams, because the other side, those guys are killers at head coach. And oftentimes it comes down who has the best trigger man, best quarterback. Typically that's not us, but now it is, man. Our guy is legit. He's a psychopath. He's a serial killer, and nothing rattles him. And so, man, I'm so excited to have him as my quarterback, man. It is something that I never thought I'd see, but we have a guy who I believe can take us to that next level and win a Super Bowl. And that is, it feels great. You kind of can play this forward and see him being the best quarterback in the league in a couple years. So, that feels great. It's going to be a tough game. I don't know if we play Saturday or Sunday, but if we play this forward and we somehow beat the Rams at home, it's at home too. So hopefully the elements kind of give us some type of advantage. I mean, I know Soldier Field is going to be crazy. That'll give us an advantage. The Rams almost lost to the Panthers, and we're better than them. So, we got a shot. Let's play this forward. We beat them, and somehow the Niners, it's the third division game. They sneak that out, and they have to come to Chicago. We could go to the Super Bowl. And then it kind of depends on who's on the other side. Maybe somebody sneaks out of that side that isn't that good or has a quarterback that isn't as talented as Caleb, and we just have a better team and somehow come out with that victory. I think anything we were able to do as a team is a plus, because this is, Caleb's second year, Ben's first year as head coach. Sky's the limit going forward if everybody stays healthy. We've got a myriad of weapons on the offensive end, on the offensive side of the ball, that are just going to get better. But with that Niners and Seahawks game, it's very difficult to play a team a third time. First of all, 2 times in 3 weeks. It's either going to be very high scoring or very low scoring. And so I'm talking like 10-3, 13-3, or, 35-38. So, it could go either way. I'm rooting for the Niners because I think we could beat them. The Seahawks are a juggernaut, great on both sides of the ball. Our producer, Jake, and my best friend Emmett, both are Niner fans, and they're kind of just hoping for a Sam Darnold fuck up fest, which is possible. We'll kind of see how that goes. And I'm looking forward to it. Man, what a fun playoffs it is when you're in it. We'll see what the rest of the matchups look like on the AFC side of the conference of the NFL. I'll be back tomorrow. I have a lot of content this week talking about and previewing all these games and talking about some NBA too. And so looking forward to it. This is a fun exercise, a fun thing to do. And I'm excited about it. Bear down, baby. I cannot believe we won that game. That was incredible. Shout out to all the Bears fans. We have been waiting for this forever. Enjoy it. Let it wash over you before we get to this Rams game. Let the players worry about that. Let the coaches worry about that. Enjoy this. Enjoy beating our rival. Enjoy being in this position. We could have 3 straight home games to go to the Super Bowl. That is something that, as Bears fans, we don't get often. But it seems like with this group, with Ryan Poles, with Ben Johnson, with Caleb Williams, that this will be a regular occurrence. And man, that's a sweet feeling. Revel in it. And, let's just take it one game at a time. Bear down, Chicago Bears. I had my daughter singing the song the entire weekend. She loves it. And so we'll keep singing that song until we can't. So bear down, baby. See y'all. Peace.